That is why I'm recording.
Hey, yo.
And the situation recording in progress. You didn't hear me. I was right.
Yo. All right, guys, what's up?
What's going on?
So, correct, I'm just reading something. Ekaslam's 9 people arrested for drug possession in Tonton Tumbari. But anyway, you know, Big Mac, welcome to the show, my guy.
People are stressed. People are depressed. Obviously, they'll, so it is what it is, my guy.
Yeah.
Welcome, Mack. Sister would try like a drum roll. Boom, boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom.
Hey, Mac,
what's up?
What's going on, my guy? You good?
I'm high. I'm irie.
Irie. Yeah, man.
Irie, man.
Are you responsible for who catches the rover, Mac?
Yes, he's one of the artists that I'm working with. That is correct.
When I just portfolio you're pitching,
Okay.
Yeah, because
that's a good question. Yeah. It's a good question. It's a good question. I want to address it. Thank you. The team got too big, Too big, too many Zimbo music affiliates, and it was difficult to manage them. You get it?
Yeah.
Some of them, you don't even know what he's doing in the corner. So it was just a situation where we got too big too quickly, became too popular, and there weren't proper management structures. There are no lieutenants and generals and what. It was just like me trying to manage all these different characters and all these different tendencies. Hence, obviously, it imploded or exploded, however you want to put it. So now the team is much, much, much smaller. I think we're probably about we're no more than 5 artists, but I think 2 or 3 of them are dormant. So, I give people leeway, but at some point, I'll just stop pushing your music. I'll just stop pushing you, because if you can't push yourself and motivate yourself, you can't expect me to do that. I mean,
what agreements do you have with your artists with?
Okay, well, we all signed an agreement, distribution, management, all that, but it's not hard and fast, if you know what I mean. I'm not hard and fast in terms of, because we're all learning, we're all trying to make money, we're all trying to grow the stable. So yes, there are guidelines, but I won't stick and say, look, my guy, you missed this recording studio session, so suhambangini. I try not to, because I try to understand, okay, where's the artist coming from? What are the challenges he's facing? He may be doing other things that are going on. So, we're not like a professional thing where these guys are professional artists full time. There's nothing like that. Most of these guys have got other side hustles that they're doing to try and keep the movement going, keep the lights on, feed their kids, feed their baby mama, blah, blah, blah. But we're hoping at some point, of course, we'll then formalize everything. Everything will become hard and fast rules, but we're not quite yet at that stage. We hope to get there.
So it's Rover and who are the other 4? Okay,
there was Rover, there was Vinny King, Rico.
Yeah.
There's some other kid from Wange called Slick Star. So it's really Rover and Slick Star. Like I said, I'm really running with those 2.
Yeah.
There's this lady Tanda. I don't know if you know her. She does a bit of dancehall, reggae, what. We're also working together. So yeah, there are a couple of artists, but they're not really, we've spoken about it. We've been meaning to meet up and do this and that, but we haven't really put pen to paper and formalized. But those 3, pen to paper, it's done. The other 2, we're still flexing. We'll see where we go with it. But I don't have too many cats on my stable. Like I said, my time is limited. I'm also a human being. I got so many things going on.
Because I'm lost, right? So I don't know what you do, basically. Besides the
Jack of all trades, master of none. That's what I do. Jack of all trades, master of none. The thing that he's referring to is Zimbo Music. Zimbo Music was a music startup that we started about April 2000 and 2000 and can't remember. 2000 in the 2010s though. So it's a couple of years.
Because when I met you, that thing was already running, and I think I met you 2012, and that thing was already.
We had just Zach, we had just won that Zoll Startup Challenge. We were the first runners up. They gave us a bunch of money. We built a website. We were trying to develop an app. We then said, let's set up a studio, got a studio, started doing music, got a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, at the end of the day, if I had to be put in a box and classified, I would just say a creative, period. That's all it is. Entrepreneurial, creative, that's it. Just trying to find my way like everyone else, just trying to make it happen, just trying to grow the ecosystem in Blueo so that, one of our artists eventually make it and really it will then open up the doors for other artists. That's it.
So I trying to say Zimbo music is the father of El Deuce.
Of course. I mean, Taito knows that. El Deuce,
no doubt. I know.
There would be no El Deuce because El Deuce is actually a breakaway from Zimbo music. And the El Deuce cats, like I said, respect, shout out, whatever it is. But I think we just wanted different things at the times. We're just going in two different directions. Because even right now, it's El Deuce. To put it in a language, got blackout. El Deuce is the Church of England to the Roman Catholic. Well said, well put. That's it right there. Thank you. You hit the nail on the head. But I don't even know if El Deuce is still operating. They used to operate to that area of mine. I'm not sure if they're still there. But anyways, that's a story for another day. There's no El Deuce representative here, so let's not go there. Let's leave that there.
Let's to that.
So how is the experience of being a music exec like in Zim?
Okay, I don't know. I think the buck start and stops at you have to be very, I think the term is maybe grounded, very mentally strong because, like I said, you meet all sorts of guys from Makokoba, Kaudri Park, Ngapi, and everyone is coming with his own different.
Senko
them want to pull you that direction. Senko used to always call himself, hey, Mr. Zimbo, and he would want to pull you in another direction. No, but like, no. That doesn't work for the collective. No. Let's do this. And I was like, no, at the end of the day, the level I'm operating at, remember, I'm responsible for everyone here. Whether it's these models, whether it's these camera people, whether it's these girls, I'm responsible for them. Something happens, they won't say, oh, Senko Ute. So, because of that, you have to be mentally strong. And you have to kind of like say, this we're doing, this we're not doing, or this you do on your own, or we'll do it at some other time. So it was managing egos, it was managing many things. It's a mission, And I think at the time, I probably should have brought on more people to assist me. I know my late brother was trying to help out. I had other people trying to help out, but everyone has got a whole bunch of stuff that's going on. So at the end of the day, the focus may not be entirely on what is the stable doing, because it wasn't even bringing in money at that time. Yes, it was bringing in $10, $20. But I was funding everything, the rental, studio time, equipment. Those guys would come and say, I haven't eaten, I have to buy lunch. Hey, we need transport to go to this event. I would have to. So it was a mission. But I think if we had really stuck it out at that number, look, some careers were probably going to blow.
The thing is, within your collection, you had some talented individuals. Like I was saying, about fish and everything.
Too young.
That's what Too Young. And you know what's funny is that Too Young exactly, El Deuce, and they didn't want to bring him to the Zimbo side. I wish he had come to the Zimbo side, but Fish and them kind of kept El Deuce and said, no, Tina, we're going to eventually do our own thing as Samba. So now where is Too Young? What happened?
Mina, as someone who's lost in all of this, can you please just tell me like some of the artists that you've worked with? Because just so that I can catch up with you.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what happened.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Cool.
No, so repeat that.
She was saying that what she's lost. Yes, let me try and bring her up to speed.
Yeah.
No, she, because no, she.
So I was saying, basically, can you just give me my names of the artists that you've worked with? Because I'm lost.
Okay, the Senko keeps on popping up. There's Fish F McSwag. There's the dog. There's Lawrence who does the production now. I think he's also trying to do his own music thing on the side. Man, there's just a whole list. At some point, we were working with Unashi Chiborani. Man, there was just a ton of artists, you know. I think when a new studio pops up and, you know, the energy is good and the vibe, everyone just wants to come and record, you know. So there was a ton of cats. You know, the list, obviously, I said, you know, at some point, you don't even know who we're working with, but you know, he's a Zimbo music affiliate. I'm like, okay, fine, cool. Everyone loves using the Zimbo music tag, yada, yada. But yes,
the thing is, the concept, I don't know if it's the right phrase to use, or the idea that you had. It was that was the template that was needed. That's why you had all these amazing characters. Because if you look at all of them, it's people.
They went on to go and do their own thing. Yes,
and solidly, and they grew. Because I remember Abo Fish and
Benny Jones.
Benny Jones. You see,
Ricky Savage, Donny Codes.
But then now. If you've been following us, we'll just tell us khuluma ngayo on our platform here, which is which we have artists who are really clueless. But the ins and outs of how you run it, how you run yourself as a business unit, they don't have, and how you equate all those things and manage it. So when that's why you have a situation where maybe you ended up having a fallout, like Fish, like Larynx, like Banbani, because probably they didn't see your bigger picture. So now,
no, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, and then
let me just add there, like I said, the point you raise is a very valid point, because I used to always say to those guys that artists cannot manage other artists. There's a misconception, there's a disconnect. But a lot of people think that because I'm popular and Ngile following, I can what? Manage other artists. You can't, because let's suppose they come to you and they say, right, on our roster here, we can only get a slot for one artist or two artists performing. Obviously, if I'm the artist, who am I going to put? I'm going to put myself first, you see. But at the end of the point, maybe Too Young, it's his crowd. Maybe it's Rico's crowd. Maybe it's the dog's crowd. Maybe it's Senko's crowd. But because I'm saying, look, I'm opportunities, Yogushina, Maluchwani, let me just put my head first. So because they will attach emotions to that.
Do you remember Military Touch, where people were complaining which pressure why that Jamaican feature to Unati instead of him doing it, blah blah blah.
Correct. You see, so that's what ends up happening. So at times, when you've got a management team, your management team should really be in the background. They should just really manage. They should be managing you, stage, sound, logistics. They shouldn't also try to say, look, Balingoma so and including feature so and including back. No. That's what happened with a lot of those artists. Were now bringing in their own talented artists and wanted to manage those artists, you see. And that just didn't work. They should have come and said, Mack, we've got this lighty, he's got potential. What do you think? Can you manage him? That's what it needed. So it is critical that a lot of these guys think that because he's a popular artist, he can manage other artists, and he can't. There's a huge disconnect.
Yeah, because, you know, people I think they were seeing the whole young money kind of thing, and also the young money. When artists working Batman, because most of these cats are from that era, from that time period, you know. But then now, how do you bridge the gap? It's now Mack, Zimbo music, and you are seeing all these things happening. How do you bridge the gap for you? I'm talking about your day-to-day running, which is until now, because you are one of the longest serving people in your concept, and you're still running with it.
True. I mean, okay, well, how we bridge the gap, obviously, like I said, we just got to move smarter. You know, we got to move smarter. Not necessarily harder, but, you know, I was looking at it this way. I say, guys, I would rather we work on something and it takes us 5 years, 10 years, but we do it right. And we don't do the shortcuts thing and we don't do the gimmicks things, because those things don't work. And at the end of the day, even if you're a gimmick, the crews will eventually come on. So there are many ways and there are many things that we're doing differently. One, of course, like I said, is that it's identifying the kind of individual or the kind of artist that you're working for, or the artist. Is this guy really serious? Because, you know, some people were doing the music thing to get chicks, to get fame, to get models, to get notoriety in the hood that I'm now a celebrity. When I go to the shops, kids scream my name. But at the end of the day, to me, that gets old fast. You get my point? If you're really about the grind and the hustle and you want to make it, you know, you got to say, 10 years from now, I'll still be doing this. 2 years from now, I'll still be doing this. 15 years from now, I'll still be doing this. So there's that aspect of passion. There's the aspect of, do you have the right attitude? Do you have the right energy? And just your mindset. Because, you know, making music in Zim it's not for the faint-hearted, guys. I'm not even going to lie to you. Making music in Zim, I always say it's almost like community service. What we're doing, what you're doing, what all the creators are doing is community service. You're donating your services. And there are many of them. Yeah. We don't want to mention names, but you see them on Facebook. Remember, Vele says Tachala, suicidal, depression. And that's what I'm saying, that it's clear that the music industry is not for the faint-hearted. And if you're not really in it for the long haul, then if you're looking into just get some chicks by the corner, my guy, then don't do it. Because what? Yes, a lot of them, like I said, so a lot of those artists where, you know, they would have fame, you know, they would be popular, but they've got no money in their pockets and they have nothing to show for it. And eventually, you know, be like, dude, this music thing, it's like, leave this crap. Because
but if you're going to Zimbo music, is better because Mack will pay for your studio time and everything. Artists that have worked with you are better. There are other people that still have to scrounge for that 10 back record and everything. You see now. And thank God you mentioned this whole thing of how people are posting on social media and everything. Maybe let's not necessarily go much on the people who are broken, because we know a lot of them are broken and they are stuck in the past. Most of them, they had a good run, but then they're still stuck in the past year, which fuck, I was once the shit. You get how do we move from there? How do we the coping mechanism? We mentioned it. I'm very, you know, when it comes to mental health, really, it's an issue really that I'm kind of sensitive to. Yes, as much as you, Jamie, look like out about believe in it. We're affected. No, one who ponk, but you've got an outlet because you've got a coping mechanism. But you will have anyone who are living in a is naive the right word. I don't know if it's the right word, because you look at the environment this operator here in Zimbabwe. You understand? And then you want to take and copy what's happening in South Africa or copy what's happening in Nigeria or in America. It won't work. The application doesn't work. When I make how are you helping bridge in and let people understand? There's also the concept about distribution and everything and understanding and making the people understand. Which no, dude, if you do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that's the only way to with 3 cents, 4 cents, 5 cents. How are we doing it there?
Okay, well, fine. Like I said, the mental depression, guys, mental depression is real. Facts. I think what people in Zimbabwe suffer the most, especially the man or the male, is, you know, in Zim, we fight so many battles on so many levels. People actually don't know that. People forget that as a man in society, you've got your parents to answer to. They're looking at you for assistance, whatever you want to call it. You've got your girlfriend, you've got your wife, you've got your kids. You will have your siblings. You will then have friends, people you went to school. So there's so many people who are dependent upon you and your success or your skills or your activities. That pressure can be down on anyone.
I like the fact that you said you have a girlfriend and a wife.
Yes, you could have.
I caught that. I thought maybe he was just saying, was it a girlfriend or a wife?
No. You can have a girlfriend, you can have a wife, or you can have wives and girlfriends. You see, all those people are expecting something from you.
But who's having it easy? Do you think female artists have an easier way of escaping? Because I'm to say send me to a lotolo, it's done and it's gone. But when you're still stuck in the trenches, and get on the next stage.
That's what. So it's like I said, the female artist thing we'll get to the eventually, but not quite yet, because one female artist, I was thinking about it, and I tried to Google Blue Whale female artists, and I didn't get that many hits, and I was saying to myself, why don't we have more female artists besides the Hours and the Kiki Badass? You know, there are those who like really stand out. Then there are the other ones who are like all part of the melee. Your CMK, I think it's the Brucilla. There's some of them who are like bubbling under. But, you know, why don't we have more female artists? And I have my own theory about it, but maybe let me just go back to the mental depression thing and the pressures of society. So you could be a very talented artist, making brilliant music, but our music industry is a very difficult animal. The music industry in Zimbabwe is a very difficult animal. It's not your typical lion or elephant or whatever you want to call it. It's a totally different animal, because you can have all the elements of this is a hit record, but obviously it doesn't get played on radio because you don't know the right people, or you're not connected, you're not plugged into the radios, or maybe they just don't like you, whatever reason. Two, you could be making dope music, but the distribution, like you said, there's DistroKid and there's what or all those other things. All those things also require a bit of money. Like I said, I realized what one executive said, that at the end of the day, the way the music industry is now going is that it's no longer about what sounds dope or hot, whatever it is. It's back to your marketing.
Yes.
And he said that he brought it down to marketing. He said that you can do everything. You can jump through hoops and whatever it is, but if it's not well marketed, people won't be able to access it. People won't know what's happening. People don't know what music is coming out of your bedroom studio. So he said that if I had to pinpoint...
That's why we will always be stuck complaining, but Blackout is better than Jermaine. But why you Jermaine can go color? Because Jermaine is selling it well. That's why I've always given this practical example. We were made to listen to Van Choga.
Yes.
No, Van Choga was really forcing on us. You are.
Just like right now they are fitting you in Ingwere.
I knew it.
I knew.
Work artist. But they are fitting you in Ingwere now. You're busy telling us that Ingwere is dope.
So what? So Mack, as people, the Kasongo is whack, man. Fuck. So Mack, as someone who's wearing all those hats, what are you doing to sell your Rover and your Ricos and all your other guys? What's different? I know it's hard coming from where we represent, from where we come from. It's hard. It's 10 times harder. It becomes 10 times harder from where we come from. Exactly. But what are you doing to make sure those guys are visible? Maybe I see you because you are my friend and we are quite acquainted in many of the industry folds. But Abanyabantu, what are you doing to get your over to those people, not to us industry players, to the people that need to hear this music?
Okay, well, there are many ways. Like I said, look, social media is for everyone, like I said, and it's the cheapest option, guys. Social media is for everyone. And at the end of the day, it's one of the easiest ways to get your music out there. Two, you can build a so-called database. Look, if you go on Twitter and you say radio execs, or if you go on LinkedIn and you say radio execs, or if you go on YouTube and say radio execs, you take those email addresses, you package your music nicely, you send it to them. Maybe out of 100 times, 2 will hit. So 98 will say, for sec. 2 might say, okay, I've checked out your guy. He seems like he's got potential. Let's do this, do that. But the other thing that I always encourage my artists that velukuza funagali mali at some point. Because let's suppose they say, dude, we really like you. You're brilliant. Please come down to SA so that we can have a chit chat. That's going to require money. At some point, you're going to need the money. We're going to need money. You just can't be pushing your music online and there's no sponsored ads or there's no this or there's no that. So like I said, at times, use the tools that you can use for you. Social media is one of them. Twitter is TikTok. I know TikTok's now blowing up. It's going crazy. Do your short little vids. And also, like I said, network, guys. There's all these things. Fortunately, now it's much better. British Council, there's the Swedish, all these guys are now opening up. Everyone is now opening up and they're saying, no, let's help the creators or let's help the artists in Africa. So those are just some of the tools that you have to network, get the right people around you, get our phone numbers, get our email address, get a manager, get someone who's going to manage you. Do not lie to yourself and say that I can do it all. If you're as good as you claim you are, someone should be interested in your craft. Someone should be better. So, okay, fine, my guy. I'm not going to build you.
I don't necessarily think what it's about you finding a manager. I think it's also about you finding the right manager, because they don't even understand what being an artist manager is. They just feel like maybe it's just you taking bookings and everything. Like they don't understand the ins and outs of being a manager.
Because it's pointless having someone who's just...
it's another tricky situation for it.
Very true. No, very like that. Fine, when I said get a manager, I was saying that let's say get a competent manager. Don't have your boy or the guy you went to school with to manage you. No, he cannot be your manager. Why? At times he is too close to you. He's too close to the what? So at times, because at times you don't have too many yes men around you, if you know what I mean by yes men. The yes men who agree to everything. That track sounds dope. My guy who shabby. Hey, my guy who tuna. No.
But also, an honest question, I'm not dissing anybody. Do we really have like our managers and Blawayo that actually know what they're doing?
Did you get that, Mac?
Okay, sorry, you were saying, sorry, I missed that.
Do we really have our managers in Blawayo that know what they're doing when it comes to artist management?
That's a tricky one. That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, it's subjective. It's subjective debate. But I do think that because to me, it's no different. Managing a business and managing an artist, we're humbelan in a certain aspect because there's getting the project, ensuring the product is well packaged, distributing the project, dealing with customer. But
so even I'm manager, my companies with Tesla or Blawayo, like just in Zimbabwe in general, like then like people don't even understand what management is.
Yes,
because even in those companies. So it now translates even to the arts industry as well.
Because simplify it, when if let's say a telecoms company might do a manager, obviously they'll specify we need someone with a telecoms background, someone who's got an idea of what they're doing.
10 years experience, not.
Blah, blah, blah. Besides experience, but the background, you know what you're talking about. Now we've got like you bring your boy in, or you just bring, like, especially most of the female managers, no offense, because she looks cute. And then when you go on and have a conversation, nothing comes out. I've hit brick holes. Hey Jay, but I tell you, we have a podcast. Jay, talk to my manager. When you go talk to the manager is clueless. You understand? Mentioning this is because I wanted to go to the next point. Okay, you went to the Kwela initiative. You met creatives in one space. How much of the industry do you think our kids understand what really is going on?
Okay, one of the initiatives, or like the Kwela initiative, one of the motives was, I think, to have a united front. Blue has always never had that. That's one of our greatest challenges. We are so dispersed. We compete amongst ourselves. We are not united in any way. We either hate each other, or I don't like that guy, or that guy tried to take my chick, or whatever it is, whatever nonsense it is. I don't know what nonsense it is, but there's all that nonsense. So we're trying to say, no, guys, one, we must be united. If you see the Harare Cats, they're very good at uniting. I think the guys at Dancehall had kind of like perfected that move, where Killer T will bring his crowd, Freeman will bring his crowd, Sekalas will bring his crowd, Winky D will bring his crowd, and then boom, they fill up National Sports Stadium. Why? Because all those guys have learned that no, guys, collaboration is better than competition. We're still yet to get that memo. We really need to work on getting that memo. That no, guys, me and you bickering, sometimes Asila Mali, Asila Bentley. But here we are bickering and fighting amongst ourselves. Like, I don't like that guy. I don't like that.
No, but you know what? I think it's just superstar tendency. Which I want an example. Those guys create a healthy competition. Look at what's going on with the whole Zimbo thing. One night it's Mbida D versus Konangara versus Hulungende. The next day they are dropping a song and they are together on one song. It's healthy competition and also entertaining their followers. But if I say I hate to Mack, it's for real. Even if you post something, I don't run with it. Because that's what's happening on social media. We have a few guys who are quite active, but when you see the post, you can tell what the fuck. This is pure hate, and this is I'm a superstar and whatever. Y'all, the rest of you guys can suck whatever it is. You understand? And it's killing the crime.
No, that's a very valid point, my guy. Like you said, the hate it goes beyond social media hate. It's real hate, where we don't actually like each other, which like I said, doesn't make sense, because at the end of the day, I believe that guy is just like you. He's trying to find his way. He's just trying to make it. He's trying to, find his way and make it. And the challenges that he's facing, you are facing similar challenges. But obviously, because we've been conditioned that, it's a competitive sport and, there's only one position, there can only be number one and all that other nonsense, we then don't uplift and help other people. We don't network amongst ourselves. So we're trying to do all these initiatives where we network, we share, where we have even just a united front when we're sharing something. If we're pushing ASAP's new track, Blessed Are the Souls, let's all push it. We lose absolutely nothing by putting it on our status. We lose absolutely nothing by liking and sharing it. But because we've been conditioned to kind of like fight and bicker amongst ourselves, that never happens. So that narrative has to also change.
No, but also I think when you share ASF on your status, is he going to do the same for you?
Okay, at the end of the day, don't do so that they do it. Let's not do reciprocation. It's not a contract. It's not like if I scratch your back, you scratch mine. We are hoping that, look, at the end of the day, they will also eventually catch on and say, but you notice these guys are really been pushing my stuff. Hey, even if you're a human being, you should also feel bad.
Not talking about ASF per se, but once you do that, they take
you for a fan.
They're entitled to now you have to do it because
they take you for a fan. Yet when you are merely saying, let's grow together.
I mean, I've experienced that a lot with the people that I've tried to say, you know what, I like what you're doing. Let me just try and push you with the little that I have. But someone I feel like entitled to hey, don't forget to I'm the celebrity when you're the fan. So you have to do this.
and about for this thing, you actually send you in your inbox with hey, please share my shit. Like I'll tell you, for example, we've been doing this podcast for a little over 2 months now.
Yeah.
The stuff, if you go on my timeline, on Facebook, it's like a mixed salad. I share whatever. I share everywhere. But how many people share this podcast? Even if you don't like the content, okay, just say, okay, that guy usually shares my shit. Because half the shit that I share is stuff that you never find me sitting down to listen to. But I know someone on my timeline might actually like your shit. So I share it. You might get a follower. I might not listen to it. You get. So
valid.
And we don't get and you don't get someone saying, okay, fine, I don't like what you guys talk about in your podcast, but maybe my friend likes it, so let me just share it.
Let me just share it.
You get nothing. The superstar tendency is the one that's killing it. But then also, let's look at our platforms. What platforms do we have? I know, shout out to you now, Sole Makhosini magazine. What's the whole thing behind the Makhosini magazine? Yeah, then we can probably mention.
It's a thing where we're just trying to tell the blue whale stories, period. Be it good or bad. Be it a water pipe exploded in Juve. We want to highlight that and talk about it because I always believe that, when we've got that story of the hunter and the lion, hey, if we always hear the hunter's perspective, we never hear the lion's perspective. We'll always say that the hunter, not knowing that, no. Maybe once in a while the lion has, shown that hunter a couple of flames. So ultimately, that's the whole point, is that us being able to just tell our stories, whatever it is, it's always important that let's get the perspective of the artists. Let's get the perspective of the business people. Let's get the perspective of the politicians. We don't really have like an online mag that solely focuses on this part of the country. Harare, there's so many bloggers, there's so many magazines. This side we don't have. So that is just one of the initiatives that we're trying to do. But like I said, there are many platforms, but all of these platforms are now just being built. I think there's no heaps now. There's obviously, like I said, there's now the Kwela initiative. There's so many little things that are mushrooming up, which is good, but we just need to have a united front so that we say one thing, we send one message, and we kind of like crystallize it and build the ecosystem.
But whether as a blogger, whether you've blogged for long, we're not seeing the Bulayo blogs online. That's why female artists just searching on Google, nothing. You couldn't find hits because if we were blogging enough and our digital, our online footprint was there, you were going to get names and names from bloggers and everything. But our bloggers, now we're talking to you as a blogger. Our bloggers, what are you guys writing about? Because it seems like it's subjective. One guy, are we subjective? Are we partisan? Are we affiliation based, or we are for the industry?
That's a valid point. To a certain extent, I guess they are, because the challenge is this. Always one of the greatest challenges as any journalist is you write what kind of like pays the bills. You understand that? Hosting your website, putting all of that graphic designing, going on, all of that requires a certain level or a certain amount of money. You cannot just do it on passion. It's not enough. It's not really period. So to a certain extent, yes, people tend to be biased. We tend to be forced to kind of like gravitate towards those stories that we know this will increase my viewership, this will increase my readership. But we're hoping that once you reach a certain stage, like maybe you've now got 10,000 or 20,000 followers, or your viewership is 20,000, then you can then just go and say, I'll write about anything and everything. But when you're trying to build that ecosystem, you are forced to write about certain things so that you keep the lights on and you keep the blog going, as opposed to the blog shutting down completely.
But abanye they go dormant. Asibezwa totally. You are not even writing for your lights. You are not even writing totally. So where are you until such a time where you have to write 1, 2, 3, and then you come back again?
Well, like I said, I mean, it's difficult. I could never speak for them. I just speak on my side and say that, well, my challenges, that's how I was saying that the industry, the creative industry in Zimbabwe is an animal that no one has seen. You can't label that animal and say it's an elephant, because it's constantly changing. There are constantly many challenges. There are many things that you face. Like you said, you meet artists, unprofessional artists. At times, you're told there's no data. At times, the lights go out. You want to shoot. So we are battling so many different challenges. Hence, I always say people should be a bit more patient, a bit more understanding, and just work with what you can do. Just try and understand that, okay, fine, these creatives are doing the little bit that they can with whatever few resources that they have, because it is very tough. At the same time, you're supposed to provide for your family. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. So it's hectic type. You guys in the UK are shares with all the equipment and everything are very sharp.
What platforms do we have as artists so that they can, because these conversations, they're about finding a solution to whatever problems that are being mentioned. People mention not having enough platforms. What's your take? We have Ikulumani FM and the Skies Metro. As our broadcasters, what's your take on the content and the relationship? Artists are they having a platform? Having first preference as the people from the city?
Okay, that's subjective. Like I said, I don't always want to go political. I try to stick clear politics, but to a certain extent, yes, and to a certain extent, no. I think some of the dope music or some of the dope artists, you hear about them because you're connected, because you're plugged in, but you don't hear them on radio. I don't know why. And I thought our radio stations would be our community radio stations, because if you see a lot of cats in SA, Casper, Bobani, they made it through the community radio stations. That's how they got onto the national platforms, because the community radio stations would support them, would push their music, would play their music. Our end, we're still trying to figure it out. We're not quite yet there. I'm not sure where the disconnect is at times, whether you need to pay to get, your music played on radio, or maybe you need to know the right guy.
Mack, I know you're trying to be politically correct. But there have been
many different reports.
Mack, wait. I know you're trying to be politically correct.
Yeah.
There is in the okay, you give a DJ something, $1 deal, $2 deals in Jalapano or whatever it is. So is it what's happening, or am I artists who don't know where to take the music, or they're taking the music and they're not being played, or because the music through the right channels, what figure one niggas are your DJ music, but also through the right channels, they can't keep playing it every day because they have got so little room. Which one of the two is the main devil?
Hence, I would probably say, I guess a bit of both, Title. We send some of the music, it just doesn't get played. I mean, I used to send enough emails. Remember, like I said, Zimbo Music at some point, we were churning out music, 2 or 3 hits every day. I would send out that music in its droves. Half of it never got played. Half of it never saw the light of day. But, you do the MP3 cover, CD, this, what, EPK, everything will be fine. It doesn't get played. Then at times, like you said, maybe you give your DJ, you give your homeboy.
Did you get any feedback?
And he doesn't take it to the library.
As a record executive, I'm sure you've got a certain standing where you can send an email and say, I sent in music from my artist. I was just making a follow-up, so that if they wanted, if it's the quality or if it's whatever that make Akati the mark. Did you get a feedback on whatever you sent and never got played back?
Okay, I will be honest, from the international radio stations, yes, we would get feedback. Wrong sound, wrong this, quality, blah, blah, blah. Local radio stations, nothing. There was no feedback. There was nothing. They would just go quiet or they would just go dark.
Did you chase it?
But do they get to play that music that you would have sent, or they don't? They're just quiet.
They don't play it. They're just quiet.
And you get
I mean, I should actually do. I should actually do a Zimbo music hits or greatest hits and upload it on YouTube. And I would want you guys to listen to some of that music and tell me if it's not radio worthy. You will be surprised. You'll be like, what? They didn't play this. This wasn't put on because so hence it's if you don't get feedback, you don't know what you're doing wrong, but you can then make assumptions. The assumption being maybe I don't know the right person, maybe I'm not connected, maybe I didn't Antumezangi eco cash here $5 that I was supposed to send. I don't know.
But when have you ever demanded for feedback? How far? As an executive, a record label, not as an individual. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You get stories as I try and still being approved. I mean, you'll get a long story as to why it's not being played or why it's why it's not in the library or what. So it's like I said, it's an animal title. It's an animal that I don't know how to slay. It's very difficult to slay. There's no one way to kill it. You have to find many ways to kill it, or you have to find many ways to overcome it or to bridge it.
So let's make our own playlist. Let's make our own playlist. Let's make our own playlist. You just mentioned you think if you were to upload the music,
and music. The issue of I said.
Strive Mashiwa strikes again. You were saying
definitely. I need.
Strive.
We needed to move smarter. Maybe, like I said, we should have had a budget.
But I don't know. Network is a bumper. But I don't think it's not about the budget. It's about, since we're talking about platforms, I think because I want to say Uras saying, okay, send my Spotify links. Let's see who's on Spotify. Because yesterday, I want to put you. Uras had sent a caption, a screenshot complaining about Bulawayo music not being in the top 50 of, I don't know, 3 or 4 playlists that he had gotten on the online. And MJ Sings was saying, no, Zikona party, maybe you just got the wrong playlist. You understand? So I think we just need to playlist Blackout. We used to do that top 10 what. But then maybe people don't get to see it. But now it sounds like another Cool Jones thing, which it was corner, but people say they don't see it. And then we just need to keep putting our things online until people finally see it. I don't know if Mack is still there or says the way we must see you. Mack, are you there?
Para ngeke buze njengononsi konke uthe mina ndahlekile wathi because mina ngikhona la emalani nani ukuthi yena that are you affiliated to any movement the music industry koBulawayo kathesi what position uyiphi position okuyo kathesi ukuthi ngenza so for artists kumbe studio is it still running as Zimbo music or selare franchise or something?
That's a very good question. Okay, well, the studio is still there. Actually, we just opened it up recently. Recently, I sent my equipment to some place in Lokshin Konapana. They were just going to do the launch and everything. Ekas, of course, Ekas is where it always is. That's the vibe. That's where you want to be. That's the hot melting plug.
Nice.
So that's already there. It's kind of been a bit quiet, a bit dormant. We'll probably need another podcast as to why I stopped doing these studio things, because I was working with a certain artist. He was managing the studio, and it boils back to artists cannot manage anything but themselves at times.
Fish. I don't know fish.
No, it's not even fish, because when I broke away from Fish, I then linked up with another artist that I'm actually no longer even working with because of that. So it's a story from a different day. But yes, in terms of movements, guys, I am still plugged in, but
Musenko.
Not even. When you've got good guesses, it's just that they're all wrong. That's the sad part.
Okay, so who's your producer at Mack?
Okay, right now we only have like one very good producer.
Yeah.
But we are looking at, and to be honest, like I said, what I said earlier is that we want to do it right, Taito. We want to do it properly this time. So we're very particular on who we work with. We're very particular on who we associate with. That's the sad part. A lot of people probably wouldn't make the grade.
Yeah.
Because like we've had our fingers burnt, we've had our names tarnished, these people. So because of that, we are now moving very differently. Hence, the requirements are much higher. We set the bar higher because I realized, look, guys, you cannot have $1 million business with a $10 work ethic. That's just not going to work.
Sure.
If you want to touch the millies, if you want to touch the millies, you need to bring your milli A game, and that's where we're at. So if I feel like no, well, you're in it for chicks, you're in it for the well, I'll try.
Yeah, it's been a minute to send Zale and Tucho, and I think it's. I mean, the best thing that this culture owes you is at least a little bit of respect, as far as your dream is concerned, because you might not get the millions that you've pumped in so far, but the satisfaction that you might get is seeing one or two people level maybe breaking into mainstream.
Very true. I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, I believe what we're doing is that, guys, we're building the ecosystem. We may never benefit from this. We may not. But there has to be that person who laid down the foundation. There has to be that person who took the hard road or the long road, or the guy who branched out and said that, no, a music label can make it from Bulawai, a music label can make it from Zim. And that's what we're trying to do. We're not really saying, we'll eventually drive Bentleys and become Birdman, and then no, we probably won't.
It's like the liberation struggle. Some people died by Salim Pini, but then now some people now in private jets.
So like in terms of the movement, I'm not really affiliated to any movement. I push anyone, I push everyone. This year I'm doing things differently. If you've got a poster, if you've got a gig, I will just put it up on my status. I'll put it on my Twitter feed. I'll put it on Instagram just to say, guys, this is my gift to the community. I'm not going to say, hey, hey, member. No. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I will just simply share because I realized, look, it's the only way we're going to grow. At times, monkey see, monkey do. If you see someone else doing it, you then realize, no. Your skin doesn't fall off.
Mack, earlier on,
female artist.
Yes. Female artist.
What about the female artist? What about it? What's the question?
We were going to come and speak about female artists. Their presence, their visibility, and their non-existence, pros and cons, and what's happening.
Okay, thank you. Female artists, like I said, I think it boils back to the girl child. I know we've got many programs for the girl child, trying to support the girl child, but I don't know if are there enough programs? Maybe they're not. Maybe I'm not privy to them that kind of like support the female artists. I know, of course, like when we are running the studio, a lot of girls, not to say we're taken advantage of, but they were promised things. And then nothing kind of like comes from it because obviously, guys are like that. Guys obviously think with their small head and not their big head. One of the challenges that we face.
Before you go on, those female artists that go through that thing, are they artists who have a potential, or you can just see okay, you know what? Okay, I'll tell you back in the day. This is 2003 that I'm talking about. So no one should judge.
Yeah.
A chick will come in the studio and you know what you would say? We used to call them FM. This is fuckable material. Because I figure upon it, like when someone well, come on, dude. How old was I 20 years ago? That's 20 years ago.
You're already thinking with your small head.
Absolutely. You see now. Yeah. So, but now those chicks, I'm just talking about my era. Now with what you've observed, a potential, or it's just people who are promised and then nothing materializes.
Some of them have potential, but she's so tired of being taken advantage of, or everywhere she meets, you always meets that, 2 or 3 guys could be nice. Then she meets that one guy with you must be my girlfriend for me to do this for you. So that does affect the girl child. That hence maybe we don't get the cream of the crop and they don't see it through the end. For instance, where is Nemo right now? You used to work with Nemo. What happened to Nemo as the female artist? She had bars for days. Nemo
was frustrated. Nemo was frustrated. The industry frustrated here. Nemo was one of the talented individuals. No lie, but I think she just got frustrated and she had personal issues as well. Because I managed to be close to her, so I know she also had personal issues. Anything as in super. But yes, she's a good example. She's a good example of I'm a female artist that got done by the industry, literally.
I can even give you another example. There was a chick that we were working with. Her name was Icy Murder. Icy Murder. When I used to listen to her bars, I am confident enough to say that even born Nicki Minaj, she could have held her own if she had the right team, right network, and the right people around. But now
I was obsessed with dancing. I see is at Summit. She's a stripper at Summit, yeah.
Yeah. What's a Summit about?
I mean, you tell me. That's talent wasted.
Really?
Yeah, Ice is a dancer at Summit. She kills it. I think anyone enjoys to go to Summit and go see Ice. She kills it. She's queen of the dance floor. She kills it.
I'll go through the crates. I'll go and start looking for some of her verses because we got some of her verses because she was recording with Zimbo Music. She had bars for days, my guy. But where is she?
I also have a song that we did one day. It's unfinished because remember my studio was directly opposite Summit when I was in Jozi. So she is fine. I think until today she's one of those people who's got that delivery. But fine, yes, Icy made her.
Yeah.
Who else can we mention? We also have
Lady F.
I don't know what happened. Lady F. Zizi Azazi.
What happened to Lady F?
Zizi. Zizi could have been a superstar because she had the looks. She had the image,
I'm sure that she's a waiter at some place. Guys,
it's the economy. We need to call Nanga when it comes to some of these issues. We can't blame it on the producers.
Pretty privilege.
Uzizi had a bit of both. Pretty privilege, and she also loved art. So there was a potential Naja in the right direction, but then people using Naja in the wrong direction. In the right direction, I mean, because everyone was singing Chows, but I'm still like everyone was chowing, but that's the other thing. But with the proper guidance. Have you not been couch casted when I know?
I never wanted to be a rapper, but I really did want to. I really did want to do music at one point in time, and I recorded a few songs, and then things happened.
Patala Malini studio time.
Things happened. What happened when you tried?
What happened?
I never paid.
You never paid, right? Was your music good enough for people just to
No.
What files are you giving us, Blake?
No,
okay, Nancy, have you been couch casted? Not only a video vixen, have you been couch casted?
It wasn't
the keys, man. It was just an up close. That video was 2 years ago, guys.
Up close.
You're running away from the question. Your experience, right? Your experience. Nancy, people want you on their videos. Come on, obviously you look hot and everything, and everyone wants a piece of their ass. What has been your worst experience? Now, which I mean, like, who podcast every day and still wants to bite their ass.
Can I say tell Amado pretend?
I always try to make things work in my favor. So even when it comes to my pretty privileges, I use them, but I always try not to give back. But I'll use it.
To what extent do you use your pretty privilege? Because you know what?
Salute.
It's not hamba ku blackout and get away with it. Uhambe with Jermaine almost get away with it.
No, but one thing you won't get away. You won't get away every time. So it has put me in situations in very compromising situations. Yeah. But I would say I would have managed to get away from a lot. Sometimes really I sit down. I think I was having this conversation. If it's not with Black, I'm sure it's with Usinke. When I was saying 60%. Sometimes I sit down and I feel like okay. Out of like the situations that I've managed to come out from. And also for the other thing that I always say, Guti, as much as things didn't work out for me and I chose to walk out from some of these things, especially in this industry, right? I do believe Guti Mina Ngabe I stayed. I don't think I would still be alive. I think Nangabe say Ngafa. I always say this.
No,
not AIDS, not Isigi. But there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that I've had to experience that I feel like
that's what we're looking for, Nancy. What happens to the girl child who's trying to break into this industry?
No, guys, behind it's a lot.
Behind this boy,
it's a lot.
Girls, like I take
summarize.
You know the whole couch casting. That's something that is very there. As much as abantu like most of those people in these places, they had to get through there. But like they sold bums to get some of those gigs. Some of them, yes. So when you told maybe you find out they end up having like proper relationships with those people. Sometimes you can join a umuntu who's got connections in the right places, and like you don't necessarily have to sleep with those people, but because you slept with the right person now has to plug you as him. But really for a girl child, it's hard. People look beyond your talent. Even once we're talented in Jani, but when your bums are appetizing, they want the bums. Whether they're talented in Jani, they want the bums. Each talent the bums. We'll see the talent later. Give me bums, and then we'll see. It's something cool. It's there. Maybe they might not want to talk about it. They choose not to talk about it. Maybe they if people were to come. My experiences are it's going to be something else.
I-couch casting ikhona yini emachideni kumbe mina ngayidinga ngayiswela madoda.
Not in Zim.
I don't think it's like that. And another thing, it's not like this whole couch casting thing is a blow kuphela. Even it's there.
Everywhere. It's everywhere.
I had people from Harare that wanted to work with me, but I didn't work with them because they wanted bums.
But
even in essay, I remember when I went to essay, I was still skeptical. Should I continue with music? Should I not? And then I did work with Tongman Pickett from Alaska, because he was trying to do something for himself as well. We did work together. We did record a few songs, but they never came out anyway. And then now he was introducing me to other people. And then when he was not introducing me to other people, I was like, no, man, it's bums everywhere. Fuck it.
So what's your take? What's your take on the girl child and the industry? Do you think the whole couch casting is the one that's making it difficult for girls to actually, because let's say the problem is that girls ungangena uthole ukuthi I'm smiling at you because I want to uzusithi hello vele angifuna uyahlanya now usuthatha $20 yakho la usu recording ngoma suyifaka suyindinga because you've just seen that I'm giving you these vibes that I'm feeling you, and then now you couch cast yourself, you understand ukuthi let me act like I want him to, so that you can record me for free, just because you're trying to save that.
Even like that choose which this is how I'm gonna work, this is how I'm gonna navigate through this. I'm gonna use bums, and they will use bums because guys, bums are needed everywhere. I will like you go to offer your bums.
$20 turns to 20 rounds.
No, but I mean, like if you receive what to say,
no,
so,
the reason why I keep circling around this issue, and because why I keep asking you, Nancy, before let you Mack continue, is because the biggest excuse that has happened in this industry on females, on why females are not there, it has been indaba nale. You understand?
And the other thing, futhi you consider when it comes to females, especially maybe abanye abathi bengakhula and then they disappear. Yabona, like the way Tina that were brought up and the way that you guys are brought up, Tina njengamadoda nanjengabafazi, is totally different. Tina, society expects a lot. Like mina khathesi, like it was okay, mana ngithi Zimbabwe, like the way that our society is in Zimbabwe, it's very different. Mina ukuthi ngitholakala engomeni sengisithi hey fuck pussy and la uthi fuck pussy. The way that people are gonna judge me for saying fucking pussy and the way that you're gonna be judged for saying fucking pussy, it's totally different. Yeah, but and the other thing futhi indaba zona lezi zokuthi amankazana guys indaba zokuyenda lezi, I'm not against marriage and everything, but okunye uyabona ukuthi abanye abantu guys bakhula be programmed ukuthi umfazi ngumuzi. Like for you to be a woman, for you to be valuable as a woman in society, you have to be married, you have to be a good wife and a good mother. And when as umuntu that is in this industry, you're deemed as if people outside of this industry, they feel like umuntu who's in the industry,
body count.
We are saying, you know how many times I've heard like things that are coming back to me. Mina vela abanye abantu bangazivele mina kahle kahle ngiyathengisa. Because why am I always doing this? Why am I dressed like that? Why am I why ehlale busy lamadoda uyathengisa? And that's how people outside there, they see abafazi that are somewhat in this industry, in the entertainment industry. Whether you ungapi which department, but as long as you're in this creative space, you're deemed desiwule because why umfazi ngoba sendlini opheka ebe ngumfazi ebe labantwana and so thina vele abafazi were already at a disadvantage compared to lena madoda.
Yeah, because the whole marriage thing,
it's not like they're not talented, but they just they just ended up just folding to those norms, the society.
But Nancy, you wanna just okay, my boyfriend umfundisi will understand this when you are still his girlfriend. The moment you become his wife, okay, let's give a practical example. You know, Alena, that girl, she used to make hits for Pop 10.
Oh,
when she got married. She was one of the biggest artists in Zim. She got married, and the guy said, "Fuck that shit." And look how big. And she was not an upcoming.
It happened to a lot of people. Do you know what? At one point, like after I decided, okay, maybe music is not for me. I'm a good dancer, by the way. I'm doing with I know. I'm a good dancer. So I used to dance for Africa Child Productions. If Longelali has Africa Child Productions, South Africa, Era Vugani, almost all those videos on TV, they are choreographed by Africa Child Productions. Like 90%, Mavuli channel or but like whatever. Ama videos, 90% of those videos, they are choreographed by Africa Child Productions. So Vugani saw me dancing in the club.
Sesibuyela back wena wafika njani khonapho ukuze ukwanise ukwazana lovukani company engaka.
No, I was getting there. I mean, I was dancing. I was gidela. It was just a night out with my friends and whatever. So I was dancing.
You were couch casted. Yes. You were couch casted.
No,
you were out with friends.
Yes.
He came to me a club, right? When I was dancing, one was good. You know, we had our own small conversation. I said, no, you know, I've got a production company, Africa Child Productions. We do this. So if you're interested, you can come through. But I didn't get there for free. You pay. I paid, Mina. I paid to get inside. But then it happened.
Lie.
Ngaba semathandweni. Umfana wathi ngila mfazi ogida. Hayi, someone else. Umfana wathi angila mfazi ogida mina la endlini la. And I set my bums down. But I stopped going for rehearsals. I stopped everything. I stopped. Vugani called me. I remember this other time Vugani called me in the studio. There was Miss Africa or something. I went for auditions. There was this girl talking with Pink. Pink is also like one of the big choreographers in South Africa as well. She could tell Louis I was not there. What's what Vugani Umtano doesn't realize how phenomenal she dances. It's like she's not even taking this seriously. And there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of girls that came for this audition.
Are you still dating that guy? Are you still dating that guy?
No, we broke up. That's why
fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. And this is where you women are fucked up.
Yes.
How?
But unless that
was he your fiance?
Was he
your fiance? Wait, was he your fiance or he was just a boyfriend?
No, he was a boyfriend.
And you listened to him and then he fucked up your career. He's still doing whatever he's doing.
I love this guy. I'm potential.
See, that's one say that the girl child faces those challenges. You know, like society already talks that if you want to get married, there's certain things that you must never be seen to be doing. Period.
Yes.
Our culture.
But
okay, wait. You can't. Exactly. Also, to come someone to check a 7 emotion. No, but men do
that. And those are struggles that other fans that are in the industry face.
Can I put a twist
it's one
to
of
this?
The major
Can
issues.
I put a twist to this? Can I put a twist to this? It's better for you women because it happens before you get married. With us men, it's usually after we get married.
Yes.
Do you know how many people's careers have died because now say yo, fuck. How many rappers have quit because they're now married? You understand?
But wena kahle kahle nqa lapha zikwanile wahlala kumele uhlale phansi lawe wedwa one man.
You need to marry someone who understands you.
Yes.
And someone who believes in you, someone who sticks with you.
Ukuthi wena uyagida cheer. Wona ugqoka esifitshane cheer akahambe edinga ogqoka.
But kona phela awuhawela ngoba ugqoka into efishane. The problem is that you girls are dating insecure small boys. Now because he got you ugqoka esifitshane ecaba ukuthi uzokhomba wonke umuntu in that way. You get? That's because I meet you in the club. That's because I meet you in the club. Now I say don't go to the club because uzohlangana nomunye umuntu.
Yeah.
Yes, things they did.
Okay, Mac. Because this one, it's a sensitive subject that we can spend the whole day on. Because
a couple of podcasts.
Yeah, because I'm still going to come and probably maybe mention
something. We have to unpack it a bit more. Yeah, we have to unpack it. And also, like I said, I love Nozi's there because Nozi gave her take, and her take is valid. Society, parents, uncle, aunt, friends, church members look at the girl child differently from the way they look at the boy child. And no right guy in his right mind would want to marry a girl who's seen on videos, who's dancing, who's twerking, who's like, out there in the public eye. As Funikono, we don't mind chowing those chicks, but at the end of the day, it's for some reason we don't want to put
how you sound, Mac. You know how you sound, Mac. You sound like Abantu, you sound like our Bulawayo society. Everyone wants to watch Beyonce, Nkosazana and a daughter, Uncle Waffles, what. But then when nakatheso ngihambiyenza uyoshutela ivideo ubhekiwe enqunu njengo Beyonce, everyone complains because you say you win gonna, but you guys want to watch Beyonce.
Yes, but can I make and then when you can date an air hostess when umuntu ohlala esendegeni
who's got potential to meet more dangerous people.
It's true.
More dangerous people.
The problem is the society don't know. We want a woman to be in the home, but we do not want her. You see, that's the challenge, and that's just reality. We can say what you want to say, but those are just the facts of life. A guy does not want a girl who's out there to be his wife. A girl who's so popular, is hugging everyone, is known in the club. She's got, guys, already to guys, maybe it's because there's an aspect of insecurity, or maybe at times you feel like house is lawyers, or maybe you feel that she could leave it. I don't know what it is, but we don't want that person to be
Okay, but anyway, just to end this women, debate,
guys.
Mac, I just want you to put a cap on this women debate. I want you to put a cap on the women debate. Okay, so what are you saying? What are those the females in the industry? Why don't we have females? Period. Besides the whole caste and society thing.
Those Correct. The females, I think that they face their road to stardom is harder. They face more challenges than you guys. It's already tough for the guy to make it. So let's suppose it's 10 times tougher for the guys to make it. It's probably 100 times harder for the girl to make it. Because like I said, there's the couch casting, there's the stereotypes, people taking advantage of her. You know what, like she's looking at her career, even just, you know, lifespan with, okay, fine, you want to do this music thing and this rapping thing. How far are you going to go? So there's so many things, Abazali, society, you name it. She has to overcome significant challenges to make it to that number one spot. And that is very, very difficult. It's almost impossible for the girl child to make it.
Yeah, man.
Because of that. She's got too many insurmountable challenges or things that she.
All right, okay. You know what?
That's it.
Let's move on. Let's go back to the music. Let's go back to the music. Mac, right. the term legend is abused.
Legend.
That term is abused. Legend. Or I'm a post at the legendary Mac. I think how and when do we legendarize you? How? And because I think it's one thing fine. That's being
I definitely it's been abused. And you know, I think maybe at the end of the day, we really need to get the proper definition of a legend. Legend is someone who, you know, is a pioneer. They broke the mold, they set the standard, so legendary, I think, is now just being used, and everyone has their own legends. Okay, everyone will have their own legend because of how maybe that person interacted to them. But then they're legends. Then you can have your own legend. Someone who's just legendary. You know, so at times I think maybe we confuse pioneer with legends, and at times, you know, that person, maybe people outside looking, you know, say that guy is my legend. He's a legend to me. But in society terms, you may not be a legend because, you know, you have to reach, I think that there's a status or a status quo that you have to reach where, you know, you've done things that normally can be done. You've set trends, you've broken records, you've played the game at a higher level, or you've achieved that success that is normally not achieved by just anyone. That is legend, or that is what we call someone who is legendary.
Because Mina, I think personally, I think especially when it comes to art, I think it's about the
so when it comes to art,
it's about the achievements, the record, and probably your contribution to the craft, your contribution, longevity as well. Because now, but what did you do? Because we don't even know you. We probably know your name. Some people are there in the art, and Ibizo like a but doesn't mean that is dope in that way. You understand?
Correct.
And then, okay, correct. Fine. That's
I agree.
And then the other thing, do we have a sound that? Because Mina, I want us today, with all due respect, and I hope no one misquotes me, but if you misquote me, I'm sorry. Everyone quickly rushes to love Majaivana. Don't you think it's time we let Majaivana sit back and enjoy his legendary status? Because we can't all Jalonje, so Majaivana. You mean there's no other and no one else ever? What are we failing to do? Or I don't know. Even my question, when it comes to that, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say.
Let me help you. I know your question, and I even thought about it, even when you spoke about the legend, and you said love on Majaivana, which is, it's a catch-22, my guy. I'll be honest. I'll put my neck out there and say in certain quarters or in certain segments, some people don't actually consider him to be a legend. That's the truth. Yep, and I think even in certain instances, when he was based here in Blue playing music and everything, you guys didn't even see him as a legend. You didn't acknowledge him as a legend. It's only when he left and went to the States and did everything else, they say, now you're a new legend, you see. So already there are problems there. There's a disconnect there, you see. That when he was here and accessible, he didn't have that legendary status. But he now relocates to another country, he's doing all these things. Now he's got that legendary status. And like you rightfully so have said, how come he's the only guy who has been adorned with that? Are we honestly saying that there was no one else from the time he started making